Okay, a major shake-up is on the cards for Medicare. The government is putting forward the idea of a blended funding system, supposedly to open up the delivery of primary care to a wider range of health professionals. Joining me now is Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor. Thank you for joining me, Angus. Do you concede the system, the Medicare system as we know it, is no longer fit for purpose?
Well, I do think, Cory, that it continually needs to be improved and refined, and one of the ways you can do that is to get a bigger role from pharmacists, from practice nurses, from allied health professionals. And I think every regional MP has seen the importance of that and the way that can actually work effectively. It tends to work better in regional areas than urban areas. But sadly, we haven't seen any detail from Labor on this. The devil is in the detail. Whether the idea is good or not, what matters at the end of the day is having a practical plan that can work, and that's what we want to see from Labor.
Yeah, it's one of the huge challenges, of course, that government has to put out the detail, but the response to the Medicare plan or the suggestion about opening up to primary carers has been quite well received. How is the coalition going to approach this? Is it going to try and work collaboratively with Labor to get important reforms through, or is it going to oppose these measures because Labor are not very good managers?
Well, it depends on what they're proposing, Cory, and this is the real problem with Labor. What we see time and time again is they fly a kite, they come up with an idea. Often it's directionally right, but at the end of the day, it can't deliver. I mean, we've seen that with their energy policy, which has been a complete disaster. So we very much want to see what they're offering in detailed terms before we respond to it. As I say, I mean, I've seen the way different practitioners can work together in regional areas, and in particular, that's where we've seen it, and that can be a very good thing, but the devil is in the detail.
It certainly is. It always is. All right, but there was a warning today that if the Reserve Bank continues down the path it's on with hiking interest rates, there's the likelihood of a recession. We've had a lot of criticism in the media and in economics areas about the handling of the high inflation. Do you expect a 9th straight rate hike in February? Because that would smash the psyche of the country, wouldn't it?
Well, I think that's up to the Reserve Bank. They're an independent Reserve Bank for a reason. We want them to be independent. But, Cory, I think the real issue is what's the government doing? I mean, we do have very strong inflationary pressures and interest rate pressures in this country, and yet we've seen a government with a ham-fisted energy policy that's making a bad situation worse. We've seen a government exacerbating the industrial relations situation right now with a multi-enterprise industry-wide bargaining. That's only going to make the situation worse. And we've seen a budget back in October which has increased spending by over $100 billion. Now, none of those things are the things you want when you've got inflationary and interest rate pressures. We need a government that realises that it has an important role to play in taking those pressures away. They inherited an economy that was strong, a labour market that was strong, a budget that was remarkably strong, very close to surplus in the last calendar year, and yet right now, we're not seeing a plan to deal with these interest rate and inflationary pressures that really are bearing down on Australians. Let's face it, it's a very difficult time we're going to be facing in the next few months for those with a mortgage and those facing real cost of living pressures.